And it sickens me that you get online and vocalize and brag about getting your passports and going to these countries with these to get a wife who needs a green card to escape extreme poverty.
YouTube, it's your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, coming at you again with another YouTube video. And the title of this video is called "It's Disgusting, Passport Bros, that you are taking advantage of these vulnerable women in these other countries." This video came about because I was watching a YouTuber that I really like listening to. His name is Brazil Yesh. And so anyway, there was a woman on there that he showed that pretty much was saying that she thinks it's disgusting that the Passport Bros are going overseas, going to South America, and dealing with the women there. And she's saying that, that the women there are in, deep poverty. They're just trying to survive. And she thinks it's disgusting that we're taking advantage of her. And so I just kind of wanted to address this comment. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about the conditions there and tell you why I completely disagree with her analysis and why it's kind of a reach. It's a bit of a reach. Okay, so first off, as I explained in many of my videos, yes, there is higher poverty, higher unemployment in a lot of these countries in South America. So the way a lot of these people, some of our haters anyway, are looking at this is they're looking at it as if the women there, they basically have no food, no resources. So when we show up, they're begging us for our attention, doing everything they can just to get something out of us, going to work, doing whatever you say. But here's the thing. But they really don't want to do that for us. They don't really want to cook and clean for us. They don't really want to kiss us. They don't really want to be affectionate with us. They don't really want to do any of this. It's just that we're exploiting them to do these things. So that's why they're acting like that. And nothing can be further from the truth. And here's a few reasons why. First off, even though these countries have poverty, such as Ukraine, such as Brazil, such as Colombia, such as the Dominican Republic, keep in mind that even in these countries, you will still see on occasion some BMWs, some Mercedes-Benz. And in fact, in Colombia, although a large percentage live in poverty, there's still a class there. I believe it's about 10% that live really good in Colombia. In spite of that, there's just a big discrepancy, a big gap between, a lot of times the have and the have-nots there. However, that community is still there, and that community has plenty of men in it, and those men have their pick of the litter in their countries. They go throughout the countries, they have their pick of the litter, have several girlfriends, several wives, that kind of things. And I say that to say that those men are accessible by some of these women that she's claiming we're taking advantage of. So those women can easily go and try to, shoot their shot, try to reach out to these men. In these other countries, they have, many celebrities, they have rap artists, or in this case, reggaeton artists. They have DJs there. They have like their so-called, like their version of like the Chad and Brads and Tyrones and Poogie and Ray Rays. They have those men there. Those men are accessible there. And then keep in mind that, yes, while they are making less, what people generally do is to kind of cover their costs is they stay with their parents. Instead of, most Americans, because we have so much money and opportunity, we tend to, after college, we get out of the house, we get our own place, we get our own car. But in those countries, since they don't have the money, what they do is, they move in with their parents, they go to school while they're with their parents, they even have families in the same house that their parents live. So that allows all of them together as a group to pay for the rent, to pay for cars, pay for transportation. They network with each other. They also network with their friends, which is why when you go down there, you're going to notice that a lot of girls you deal with, they have several girlfriends that they interact with and they network with. So like one girl, maybe she does nails, but another girl does hair. They can give each other discounts. One of them might have a car, another one does not have a car. So they'll network and they'll get around that way. So in a sense, so by them living with their parents and networking, they know how to stretch their dollars. So it's not like they're and of course there is to be fair, there is a poverty class, which means they're in extreme poverty. As I said before, you will see some women, some of them somewhat cute, living on the street. Once in Brazil, I went outside. I saw a guy out there. He literally had a bed out there. He had a bed, a dresser, and all his stuff on top of the dresser, and he was pretty much treated like it was a room, and it's right in the middle of like the sidewalk. Once I was walking down the street, here it was this lady. I was looking at her. She looked funny. I'm judging bums, but she looked okay in the face. She was walking. You could tell she had on like shabby clothes. Hair was messed up. Face was kind of dirty. And right in front of me, she just went alongside the wall and started urinating. So you do have that there. You do have a poverty class there. However, even those women, they know where the men are who have money. They know the suburbs there that have money. They can get around on bus and they can go and beg people there. It's not like some of that stuff is not accessible. So keep that in mind. Also keep in mind that women, to some degree, are women. And I don't care if you're in the United States. I don't care if you're in Costa Rica, the UK, China, wherever. If we have to be honest, money is important to women in relationships. And what I mean by that is most women, I don't care where they're from, they're not necessarily looking forward to dating the fry cook or the guy that's like, I don't know, doing some little random job. Like maybe he's like the guy at an apartment complex that just picks up the trash and tosses it away or something like that. That's not really what they're looking forward to. Of course, if between a competition, if that's within their reach and that's like around to a certain degree the best they can do, they're going to deal with that. But even with those men, you're going to notice they're always pressing them to bring in more money, to try to get that manager position, that kind of thing. So if you'll be honest, to some degree, this is what a lot of women look for. And if you also consider the fact that in the United States, Snoop Dogg, he had an interview once where he said he went to the bathroom once, and I guess he was trying to get away from some of the girls there that kind of, actually, and this is true, they actually have an app where they can figure out when celebrities are coming into town. Some girls there were trying to look for him and I guess hook up with him. He went in the bathroom. He said a woman actually climbed through the vent. She climbed through the vent and broke through to kind of see him in the bathroom. And he told her, you think just because you crawled through this vent that I'm going to be dealing with you. And he kicked her out. I said it to say that did Snoop Dogg take advantage of her to make her do that, to go after him, to chase him down and throw herself at him? She wanted to do that. Same thing with these women in these rap videos and stuff like that. They're always talking about the men are exploiting them, but these women actually sign up for this. This is America, supposed to be one of the richest, most free women in the world, and these women are throwing themselves at it. And one has to ask why. In general, women, if possible, if they have a choice between a guy who has a lower paying job, high paying job, what type of man you think they're going to choose? And again, here's the thing. Even when we show up to these countries, it's not like the women have to say yes. As I've said before, as Austin Holloman said before, and many other past bros, all 100% of the women don't say yes to us. All we said is that the probability is higher, and it's a higher frequency of women that do have a positive exchange with us and usually say yes and exchange numbers. However, me, myself, past bros, also have stated at times there are women who have said, I'm straight, I got somebody, or no, I'm not interested. Our biggest thing is that just the way it's done. In those countries, if they do turn you down, it's going to be done in a very polite manner. In the United States, sometimes you got a woman doing stuff, throwing drinks in your face. She might try to show out in front of her friends. She might laugh at you when you try to approach her. She might, feel disgust, show a sign of disgust when you try to approach her. That's our whole thing. So even in these countries, because technically, think about it. As I said before, some of the women, they could just, when they see a passport bro or a foreigner, just say, nah, I'm straight. I'm okay living, with my parents. And, because at the end of the day, she could just stay in her house. As I said, a lot of them do. Stay with their parents, find a local man there, marry him, and just move in with their parents, live there, have a family. A lot of them don't want to do that. They don't. It's a lot of, some of this is somewhat female nature, where if they see some guy who has a lot more to offer, and in this case, a lot of the passport bros, a lot of us, some of us are handsome, some of us have very, very good outgoing personalities that attract. Some of us are tall. Some women like very tall men. Some of us have certain complexions, like maybe some of us a little light skinned. So you have some girls that are like light skinned dudes, and then some of us a little darker. Some girls they like more chocolate dudes. So we have other stuff besides money that are attracting these women. It's not just our money. We also have personality, looks, everything else. And then so really what is money for us is just us. We're just, the money is more like the icing on the cake. As I told you before, every year there are marriages in Colombia, and many times these Colombian marriages are between Colombian people, Colombian man marrying a Colombian woman, in spite of the Colombian man not having that much money, and they live a regular life. They grow up in that environment and that culture, and they just move on, and the generations continue and continue. So in many cases, they're comfortable and used to that. They don't have to marry a foreigner. And keep in mind that even sometimes when some women want to marry a foreigner, keep in mind she has to also consider, do I want to leave this country and leave my family behind? Maybe my sick mother behind? Do I want to leave my friends? And some of them might have cold feet when it really comes down to it. They may want to actually stay there. So even though they want to come to the U.S. because it has more opportunities, but because they don't want to leave their family behind, they just decide I want to stay there. So keep in mind, it's not 100% of the people saying I want to leave. Yes, you're going to have a percentage of people from South America coming to the U.S. border, Mexican border. I was watching a video where they tried to say, well, if they don't want to leave, why is the border overrun with so many immigrants and all this kind of stuff? Yes, so that just say, for example, I think they were saying it was probably like 200,000 people at one point. Well, I take it back. I think they said last month or something, it was like 10,000 immigrants. They put on a bus. They had to take them back or something like that. But keep in mind that, do you know how big South America and Central America is? Do you know how many people live in those countries? 10,000, 10,000, while it is a lot, keep in mind that, you're talking about various countries throughout South America. So when you compare how many of that 10,000 per country, it's not that much. And then keep in mind, a lot of times when they ship these people back, sometimes it's the same people coming to the border. You're assuming that every month it's different immigrants. That is not the case. Just imagine a whole country of Brazil, all the people there are suddenly trying to rush the border in the U.S. That has never happened. It's not going to happen. In fact, all the little countries around, that lead up to the United States, they do have border protection there. They are sending some people back. Yes, some people sneak through. For example, I've heard some people sneak through the jungle of, I think the country is Nicaragua, that country. It's a jungle there that people go through to try to find their way up into Mexico, that kind of thing. But this is not everybody. I mean, let's just be honest. It's not everybody. It's a very dangerous journey. And even when you get to the U.S. border, we still have ICE. We still have things in place to send them back. And sometimes when they get back, they're in worse condition than when they're left. And then, as I said before, some people, they might be struggling, but it's enough where they can kind of get by. And the other thing is they have family here. They're not just going to abandon their family to necessarily go to the U.S., especially if they have a family member that's sick or having some type of issues. So you got to keep that in mind. So generally what happens is, as I said before, when the passport bros show up, generally, put it this way, we come in, we meet some of the women. Of course, most women, again, if they have two attractive guys, one guy makes more income, he has a better opportunity in life. He can bring them into a better, stable environment because women like to nest and nurture. Passport bros can bring that to the women. But again, that's just the icing on the cake. She could also do the same thing that the other women usually do in her country, which is just find a local man, move in with her parents, and they just shack up there and try to make ends meet, share the income, have food there. But when it comes down to it, for a lot of women there, when it comes to the fact of, hey, I can marry my local man, live with my mom, have to cook every day. Or here's this guy from another country that he really, really likes me. I have a big connection with him. He has his own car. He has his own house. He takes care of me. He loves me. Which do you think that most women, I don't care if it's American women or not, when there's an opportunity where they can always improve their situation. And then again, she might be thinking, okay, and once I'm with him, of course, like there's incentive where even if I'm with, okay, so here's the other thing. Keep in mind that even when I go down there as a passport bro, when they made my passport, they didn't stop making passports. I still have to compete when I'm with that woman. Just like I'm smart enough to know that there's a possibility there's another passport bro there she might be talking to. In the same way, both me and that passport bro, we know she might be talking to another passport bro. So, I mean, and that woman knows that we, the passport bros, might be talking to other women. So she still knows she still has to compete. There's still a dance there. This is not, we go in there, they're slaves. We pay a fee to their father. They give them to me. They give them to us, and then we just ship them back up, up to the U.S. It doesn't work that way. It's just that because of our situation in the U.S., because as U.S. men, we can provide stability. We have stable jobs. We're in a better position. And as a result of that, as a result of our stability, we can, when we come into these countries and we deal with these women, we can deal with them in such a more gentleman-like manner than a lot of their local men can, because we can take them to restaurants they've never been before. Yeah, we can, that's the biggest thing. We can kind of, I guess in a sense, it's called like, I guess, wine and dine them to some of the men that do. We can kind of wine and dine them in a sense, in a manner that they have never been taken care of by any man there. And you don't think that in itself is going to provide a level of like romantic vibe that woman has never experienced, and that she's going to be attracted to that. She's going to be attracted to that because a lot of local men there can't really give that to her, but we can give that experience to her. So in that sense, those women are going to be attracted to us. It's not us forcing them. They are attracted to that. Women in general are generally attracted to men of status. Men of status, men of means, men that can bring stability because they like to nest and they like to have a place to nurture because they're nurturers, because they have to take care of children. That is the source of a lot of this. This has nothing to do with us going and enslaving people. Like the term mail order brides, like you just pay a fee in the mail and then they ship you a bride. It doesn't work like that. Those women can say no. You do understand that, right? And you do understand that there's not, like as I said before, when they made my passport, they didn't stop making passports. There's other men from Canada, UK, even some of the local countries around that fly in there, and they might find a woman attractive too. So she can kind of pick too. It's just that the fact that, as I said before, the discrepancy there in Colombia between the haves and the have-nots is huge. So finding a man of stable means is very difficult. And if we weren't there, all the women would do is they would go after this 10% of Colombian men that have stable means. They would just go after them. All we did is increase the pool of men that these women would have a choice in dating, because if they didn't date those 10% men, which in many cases they're not going to be able to because it's only 10%, they will wind up trying to date some of the local men and try their best to get as high as they can. So maybe a guy who's closer to the 10%. But in many cases, us as American men, we make about we make either equal or more than what that 10% makes. So it just widens that pool. So those women have a lot to choose from. So they actually enjoy us being there. Women, like I said before, women in general are attracted to men of status. So that's why that dynamic kind of exists. It gives us an advantage over some of the local men. Yes, that is true. That is true. But again, some women, they can, if they want to, continue in the traditions in a way that the women there have lived for centuries. Many of them don't want to do that because women in general tend to want to date up. That is their nature. They tend to want to date up. So, and what I try to do on my channel is educate men. So when they go down, the biggest thing when people talk about, well, they just want you for their money, they're going to scam you. That's because you didn't vet the women correctly. You didn't vet the women correctly. I'm going to do a video on vetting, but that's one of the reasons I created this channel, to kind of teach men how to vet women, how to deal with the women in these other countries so that they are not taken advantage of. But one thing I can say, even if I don't teach you how to vet, even if you don't know how to vet, even if you came into this country blue pillish, simpish, not knowing what you're doing, you still have a higher probability of meeting a woman that's worth being married than you do in the United States. And I'll stand on that. And I'm going to end this video on that note. Until next time, this is your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, signing off.